The public school system in America, specifically where I live, is not built around, is not engineered for the creative mind. The creative mind cannot sit in a classroom for 45 minutes with 20 to 30 other people, be quiet, think exactly the same, and only, speak when called upon. Reading from textbooks, reading novels, doing math problems, all the different subjects that are studied in the public school system. I'm an adult. I'm in a great profession, work with some of the biggest companies in the world, and I probably only use 10% or less of what I learned in the public school system. That means 90% of what I learned in the public school system was a waste. The public school system is basically a daycare center. The public school system is basically holding the child until the parents can get home from work. I want to be very clear. I know great men and women who are great teachers. I want to also be very clear. The public school system is a blessing. In context, I am not against there's always going to be bad teachers, but in general, I'm not against teachers. I'm not against the public school system, and I am not against that whole design. What I am against is the current way it is delivered. There needs to be a reform. With technology and everything else, the average attention span of a human is 8 seconds. How can a creative mind who's bored even quicker than the normal mind sit in a classroom for 45 minutes long per class for an 8-hour day and not get bored? When you get bored, destruction happens, fights happen. In addition to, you're dealing with immature people. I would like to see, when I grew up, I was in the Catholic Church. All right? Bear with me, I'm going to make a good analogy here. The Catholic Church was about 45 minutes long per Mass. All right? When I got older, I went to a non-denominational church. Okay? The services there, 2-3 hours long, if you add everything up together. I mean, great service, but you want to go crazy. 45 minutes is max for an adult. Most adults don't even go to church service. Most adults don't go to church anymore because that's an old system too that needs to get reformed, because now everybody does everything on their phone. So that's the whole thing too. That's why Catholic churches are closing left and right, because with the adaptation of technology, people don't need to sit 45 minutes to look at something. They can read scripture on their phone. You don't need to hand around the Bible and everything else. Now, all right, that's a whole other thing. What I'm trying to say is, for 45 minutes to sit in a classroom is, for a young, immature mind, your mind isn't fully developed probably until you're close to 20. And even then, you still have to figure out stuff. So adults can barely sit in the same spot for 45 minutes without getting anxious and without getting a little bit disruptive. People, used to come into church only for the communion and get out of there. And I understand why. Because humans are not built, especially humans with energy, with creativity, with outside the box thinking, with intuitive thinking was the word I was looking for. For some people, they may be able to just sit there but even me, like when I came up in school, I knew I could see the game of life. I was smart enough to understand, look, this is just part of the game of life. So I did what I needed to do to pass high school and then to go on, et cetera, pass high school, different schooling I went to. But it's like, I did it because I understand how the system works. And I had enough discipline, enough grace to play the game. And that's all smart people in this world do. It's not that they are so intelligent that they can figure out, necessarily. Most people aren't that intelligent. They can figure out different mathematical formulas. Most people that succeed in society just figure out how the game is played and then they play it. But many people, they have a problem with the way the game is played, and they get disruptive because of that. And so, sitting down for long periods of time over the course of 8 hours is not a way to teach a creative mind. What's the answer? The answer is a classroom shouldn't be more than 25 minutes long. 5 minutes to settle in, 5 minutes to, for everybody to decompress at the end, and 15-minute max in between to teach. That's it. I remember when I gave my first speaking event and it was scheduled for 15 minutes. I asked the person, is that long enough? How am I going to be? They said, Sam, if you do public speaking and you can't get your message across in 15 minutes, you'll never get the message across. People don't have the attention span to listen to more than 15 minutes. And even with 15 minutes, you're barely going to have people that watch the whole, listen to your whole speech. I do a YouTube channel. People get upset sometimes when I go past 10 minutes. I have, as a creator of YouTube, when you upload videos, you have a whole analytics page that I can view only for me. And when I view it, the average person watches my videos for 4 minutes or less. If the average adult only watches my videos or other people's videos for 4 minutes or less, how can, immature people, be asked to sit for 45 minutes straight, sit in an uncomfortable chair with a fucking, desk wrapped around their stomach and stare straight at a fucking chalkboard or a whiteboard, whatever they're using now? It's uncreative. It's unengineering. It's, it's not the teacher's fault, but you got to get these kids, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's alternate schooling, whether it's the embrace of technology, lessen the class time, increase the movement. You know what I mean? Movement, blood flow delivers nutrients and oxygen to your body cells. That allows a level of creative thinking, and that allows a level of decompression of stress. That's why if you get stressful in the office and you're in a cubicle, they say go for a walk. Because when you go for a walk, your blood flows through your body and nutrients and oxygen are delivered to your cells, and that calms your spirit. Movement is part of learning. Movement is part of decompression of stress, and it frees up the mind to think better. And these kids need to move. Forget sitting in a classroom for 45 minutes. That's crazy. 15, 25 minutes max. And the teaching should be based around technology. Everybody should bring in their phone and, do stuff on their phone. I mean, the school systems fought calculators for years. They wouldn't even let you use a calculator. Now it's like they won't let you use a phone. The system is always a day late and a dollar short. What am I saying? Are there some kids that are always going to be bad? Yes. There's some kids that are always going to be bad. There's some kids that are always going to be inefficient learners. There's always going to be a percentage of people that are brainiacs that always have a high level of, above average knowledge. Majority of people be in the middle, but the majority of people that'll be in the middle, you have to understand these are still individuals, and the brain doesn't process things exactly the same. I believe increase in movement, shorten the cycles of per classroom, and more more like artsy things or more movement things, whether it's gym or whatever. What do you use right now? I'm asking everybody out there, what do you use right now in your current job that you learned in the public school system growing up? What math formulas do you use? What, English teachings do you use? You need some of it, but a lot of it is just waste. You're in a daycare system. All right? And so I'm not blasting the public school system. Again, we're blessed, so I'm not one of those people destroy the public school system. I'm not one of those guys. Please, believe me, don't even comment if you think I'm like that. What I'm saying is be mindful that humans have low attention spans. The average is 8 seconds for an adult. Imagine what it is for an immature child that isn't fully developed. Shorten time where kids have to sit for long periods of time. Increase movement. Allow them to use their phones, because that's the way society is right now. If you're an adult and you came into my job field and you didn't know how to use a phone, you're not hired. I don't care how much degrees you had. You need a phone to answer emails, to set up meetings, to do calculations. I use my calculator on my phone to do mathematical calculations. To take pictures of certain things we have to document, to upload them into different templates that we have to present for presentations. If you can't use your phone, you're screwed. Why would you prohibit a kid from using his phone? You'd have to be a rigid, old school person that is slow to adapt. And adaptation is the number one thing you need to learn to grow and to succeed in this world. Never forget it. So I'm just shedding light on it, because it's that time of the year where school happens, and I think about it often, because I had enough wherewithal to understand, look, Sam, the system's a bunch of BS, but this is how it's played. Just sit, be quiet, do what you need to do, and every bit of my being, I had to fight not to say, this is fucking sick. And some kids, they can't fight that. They can't fight that this system is just screwed, so they get disruptive and they get in trouble. Now, some kids are assholes. I want to be very clear. And they'll be assholes when they're adults. But I'm just bringing to light the topic, okay, of the public school systems, a level of reform and a level of rethinking. Now, look, you gotta, to always to some extent, I gotta be fair, you gotta play the game. I just want to share that thought. I wanted to talk about the public school system, increase movement, shorten classes, embrace the use of a phone and technology, and the grading system and everything else, man, is a little skewed in my opinion. All right, great public school teachers. Only some of them are bad, just like kids. Only some of them are bad, but overall great. And we're blessed to have it. You look at other countries that don't have a public school system like America, and you'll see a difference. So again, I want to honor our public school system, but I want to plant a seed of a level of solutions that I've offered. Some very general, I understand, but at least to shed light in the conversation and make you mindful of the topic. Okay? Stay inspired.